The street was too quiet for Los Angeles, a city that feeds on noise, suddenly holding its breath. I smelled iron before I saw her, that raw metallic scent that never lies. The body was split in two, arranged in the grass like some grim exhibit. No blood on the ground. She'd been emptied before she was displayed. Her skin pale as porcelain. Her smile carved wider than it ever should have been. People would call her the Black Dahlia, but standing there, I knew this wasn't just murder. It was performance. A killer making art out of pain, and the city was his audience. They brought me in before the press got wind of it. A body that perfect doesn't stay secret for long. I walked the perimeter, cigarette smoke in the air, silence hanging heavy. A lipstick tube, a shoe print too small to belong to a man, a torn photograph from a studio promo. Elizabeth Short, aspiring actress, 22. Last seen chasing the kind of fame that always bites back. Every clue whispered contradiction. She wanted the lights, but moved in shadows. Friends said she was careful. The phone record said otherwise. Someone had been calling her from a number that didn't exist anymore. Logic told me to stay detached. But something in those staged wounds felt deliberate, like the killer was speaking directly to me, waiting for me to answer. Hollywood began to crack under its own reflection. Reporters swarmed. Detectives lied to each other. Everyone wanted a quote. No one wanted the truth. I started watching faces instead of evidence. Directors, producers, men with gold watches and hollow eyes. They talked about her like a rumor, not a person. And the more they spoke, the more I saw it. Fear. This wasn't random. The cut was too clean, the pose too knowing. Someone had power and used it like a blade. Each night I replayed the scene in my head, the way she'd been arranged, the missing blood, the calm it must have taken to do that. That kind of calm doesn't come from madness. It comes from control. And I realized whoever did this had done it before. The answer came quietly, buried in a forgotten evidence file. A photograph from an old studio party taken months before she died. Elizabeth Short standing beside a man the department called untouchable. A surgeon, connected. He'd worked on studio contracts, fixing faces for the famous. He knew anatomy, precision, beauty. He also knew how to drain a body without spilling a drop. A neighbor remembered a scream. A maid remembered blood that wasn't wine. And someone, somewhere, made sure none of it reached the papers. When I found the letter, typed, unsigned, mailed to the police, the words were surgical. She was perfect. I gave her form. That's when I stopped thinking like an investigator and started thinking like him. I didn't arrest him. I watched him, followed him to his club, to his clinic, to the house where the walls didn't echo. He greeted me like an old friend, offered a drink, asked about the case. I told him it was closing soon and that the city would forget. He smiled. That was his mistake. I left a file on his desk. Inside, photographs, letters, copies of statements he thought were buried. By dawn, the newspapers had everything. His name, his secrets, his legacy in pieces. He didn't go to prison. He chose something quieter, a gun in the study, a note that read, "She wanted to be remembered." They called it justice. I called it symmetry. The city moved on. It always does. The stars kept shining. The cameras kept rolling. But every time I drive past that empty lot, I see her, not as a victim, but as a question that will never stop asking. I don't feel peace, just the weight of silence. Because justice isn't mercy, it's precision. And in Hollywood, precision is the deadliest art of all.